Hello and welcome. My name is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and I am the creator and host of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. For the last 4+ years, I've been creating videos specifically about Star Citizen. Star Citizen is a crowd-funded game. Well, it's actually a pair of games, and we'll get into that in a little bit. What brings us here today is that Cloud Imperium Games has released version 3.1 of Star Citizen. Now, while it might be called 3.1, it's still an alpha. And with that said, there's still a very long way to go before we have a complete game. And even though that's the case, there are many people that are looking at Star Citizen and wondering how they can start playing themselves. But there's one fear that seems to be out there that's keeping many of them from joining. And that's the fear that it's going to cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But I'm going to show you how you could actually get into the game for a much lower price, and how you can just play the game and not worry about all the extras that are out there to purchase, because in actuality, you're going to be able to get them all in the game anyway. So let's sign you up to be a citizen, and then move along and help you purchase your first ship. Enlisting to be a citizen isn't hard. Just bring up the account page, choose Enlist, and fill out this paperwork. Now, if you feel like it, there's a referral code that's on the screen in the code section. You can use that, and I will get some credit for that, but so will you. Nonetheless, becoming a citizen is easy. Now let's move on to the hard part. This is the Pledge Store. The two options that you're met with here are for Squadron 42 and for Star Citizen. They are indeed two separate games, but the only one that you need to be concerned with for now is Star Citizen. That would be the right package. The right package currently on my screen is showing a Mustang Alpha. There are currently 4 starter packages. One with the Mustang Alpha, one with the RSI Aurora, another that's brand new that comes with the Origin JumpWorks 100i, and the final one's a little bit more expensive, but it's a multi-role ship, and that one is the MISC Reliant. Scrolling down the page, you're going to find a few more packages. I really implore you to stick to one of the $35, $25, $50, $55 packages and leave the more expensive ones to later, should you feel like you want to donate more to the development of the Star Citizen project, because that's essentially what you're doing when you're buying those packages. So choose the package that you want, and we'll move on from there. This is the Aurora package, just one of many that you can purchase. You'll see that the package comes with quite a few things. It comes with the ship, some insurance, some ancillaries, and of course, the digital download of the game itself. So let's go get the game downloaded. To download the installer, we're going to go back to the main page. Clicking here under Game, we'll find that you can download it right here by choosing to download the Star Citizen Client Launcher. Now, if you're logged in, these red X's will be green check marks. After you actually download this client, you will start the client, let it update or install the new version of the game, and you can read these patch notes if you want to in the meantime. If you follow these steps, at some point you'll have the game launcher and you'll click Start. Logging into the game doesn't take long. Once you're in the game, we're going to talk about what the first thing it is that you need to do. Once the game is loaded, this is the screen that you'll see. This is the home screen, or the main menu screen. There are many options to choose from here, but of course the first thing we're going to do is go to Options. Inside of Options, there are going to be specific things that we want to look at. We're going to want to look at the key bindings all the way to the right. There are many ways to control your spacecraft or even your avatar inside of Star Citizen. You can use a mouse and keyboard, a game controller, a joystick alone, or even a full HOTAS with rudder pedals. Clicking over here will bring you up to the Advanced Controls section, and honestly, all you really need to do is just go through the list and decide which buttons you want to assign to which functions, It does sound quite overwhelming at first, but once you take a look at this, it won't take that long. We're not going to get into this right now because there are many videos on how to set up your controls. For today, we're going to be primarily concerned with getting into our spaceship and kicking it around a little bit. You know, trying to get the feel for it. So what we're going to bring up is Arena Commander. And inside Arena Commander, we're going to go right over into the single player area. We're going to be sure to choose Free Flight. And then you have one of two areas to fly in. Really, that's just going to be personal choice. I like Dying Star better than Broken Moon, but we're going to use Broken Moon for this one. Selecting Launch will bring us into the game's universe. Now, being that this is not going to be a multiplayer area, you should load in very quickly. I didn't edit that scene, it only took us a few seconds to get here. Now, flying your ship is what you want to do here. You want to frequently look at the options menu. You want to set up your particular controls for your liking. This is where you do your tests. Now, if you're looking at this particular spacecraft, you can see that this spacecraft is flown using two joysticks. That's not what you have to do, but that is potentially one of the ways that you can actually fly one of the spaceships inside the game. You can get two joysticks, and there's many videos out there on how to configure that. I suggest that people look up on YouTube for how to configure the T16000M specifically for dual joystick flying. Now, the Aurora happens to be one of my favorite ships, not because it's beautiful, not because it's big, not because it's capable, but it's a very well-rounded starter ship. Although there are some sexier ships, like the brand new Origin JumpWorks 100i, or there's some that can hold a friend, like the MISC Reliant, or others that look strangely alien, but are really fun to fly, like the Mustang Alpha. I really suggest this one because it has the potential to load many weapons on it, but it also is a tank. It is an amazingly fun spacecraft to fly as your first spacecraft. Now, Chris Roberts' original intention of the RSI Aurora was to have it be like the Ford Escort, the Ford Focus, the Toyota Camry. Think about those cars that you see everywhere. He wanted the Aurora to be the most used ship, and guess what? It is the most sold or most popular ship in the game. Now, of course, many people might have bought them for later on changing them over, upgrading them to bigger, better, badder ships, but we're not going to talk about that today. Fly around in your Aurora, your Mustang, your Reliant. You can't fly the 100i right now because it's a concept ship, and we'll talk about that in another video. So we're just showing how we can fly around this asteroid. And you'll notice that we're not flying in a straight line. Yes, you need to learn to fly in 6 degrees of freedom. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get used to it, but once you do, you're going to see flying in space is actually quite fun. And they have a mode called coupled and a mode called decoupled. So get your feet wet here inside of the free flight mode, and then you're ready to move on to kill the baddies that are in Star Citizen, the Vandals. With a giant persistent universe to fly in, we're sitting here in a very small one, and we're going to land our ship just for a second, and then get out and take a look around it, because you can do that in this game, and that's what separates it from any other space simulator I've ever played. That is my avatar. Currently, the only avatars in the game are male. Female models aren't slated to be into the game until after October of 2018. Yes, that's about 6 months away. You can exit your door. To bring up that menu, you want to hold down the F key. Then you can get out and you can walk around. And and you can have a very nice walk around your ship. Now you might be asking, aren't we in space? How is everything sticking to the deck? How am I walking and not floating off? Mag boots. Yes, the soles of your boots are magnetic and they're sticking ever so slightly, enough to keep you seated as if you had weight on the deck. And we're going to walk around the ship. We just saw the fuel scoops up top, some coolers, some fans to actually lift it and land it, maneuvering jets. Yes, it's all there. So you can do this. You could oogle at your ship here, in your hangar, or on the launch pad or landing pad at Port Olisar in the universe. Alright, let's go do something fun. Because I know you all want to get your feet wet, and you want to get a little dirty too. So let's go do that. For this next piece, we're going to go into what they call Vandal Swarm. This is going to be practicing combat in the ship. Combat in Star Citizen is highly, let's just say, your hand is going to hurt, whether it be on a mouse or wrapped firmly around a joystick. You're going to come out with cramps if you're going to play this game and survive all 9 levels. Now, this isn't a real game. It's a simulator. It's kind of a game within the game. And the main purpose of Vandal Swarm, or Pirate Swarm for that matter, is to get you used to combat inside the universe. Now, there are competitions, and it is highly competitive if you're playing it against other human players. But really, this is about honing your skills. Kind of like a real pilot using a simulator to hone their skills. Now, depending on your control configurations, whether it be mouse and keyboard, the game controller, a single joystick, dual joystick, or joystick HOTAS, and even joystick HOTAS and rudder pedals, your key mappings might be greatly different than somebody else that you'd be talking to. But nonetheless, the game usually works the same way in all modes. And you really need to have good situational awareness if you're going to engage in combat in the Star Citizen universe. Now, Star Citizen isn't all about combat. In fact, you could actually have professions where you never see combat. It might be a little boring for some, but others love to haul cargo throughout the galaxy. Others want to find new worlds, study black holes, novas, supernovas, look for, let's see, one of those Goldilocks planets orbiting a distant sun. You could do everything from exploration to salvage, everything from mining to bounty hunting. It's all here, though not implemented yet, but coming soon to a game near you. Now, after testing the waters here in Vandal Swarm, and prior to this in the free flight mode, you're probably getting a little antsy saying, hey, isn't this world supposed to be persistent? Isn't this game supposed to have more? Well, yes, the game does have more. So if you've had enough flying around in free flight mode and killing that last Vandal inside of Wave 9 of Vandal Swarm just isn't giving you that same excitement anymore, well then maybe it's time for you to become a citizen in the real Star Citizen verse. Let's go do that now. Moving on with today's orientation, we've come back to the main menu. From here, I'm going to take you into the universe that is Star Citizen. Now eventually, there'll be more than 100 star systems in the playable universe for Star Citizen. And that will cover hundreds of planets, moons, star ports. You'll be able to trade and fight and explore and set up homes. But currently, Star Citizen is just a fraction of a single star system. It's actually a planetary system, and that system is called Crusader. You also have some hangars that you can go to, but we're not going to discuss that now, because for now, we're just going into the universe. This is an orientation, and that's what we're going to do. Orientate you to what Star Citizen is. So if we click on Crusader, let's see what we get. Clicking on Crusader brings us to another menu where we can look at which server we want to use. I always use best available, And clicking on the visit location will bring us right into your habitat. Yeah, this is the place that you live at for now. In the future, you'll be able to have hangars with your own rooms off to the sides of them. You'll be able to build up a nice place to live, or you'll be able to live on a planet in your own construction of modular pieces that you put together like Lego. But for now, this is our little coffin and our little room. Now, if you hold down the F key, you'll get that little circle. So let's take a look at it again. Hold down the F key, we get the circle, and then clicking the left mouse button, we can select where we want to go. Alright, and we're going to walk down the hallway and go to the lower floor. Depending on where you come out, you're just going to have to walk around and find these stairs. And the stairs will lead you right down into the main level of Port Olisar. And Port Olisar is a trading hub. It's a place where you keep your ship. It's not really a home. It's kind of like a truck stop, but bigger. Much bigger. For today, we're going to be concerned with this trading hub over here. You can walk up to this gentleman and talk to him if you like to, but what we really want to do is get over to the terminal to the right or left of him. And on the terminal, again, hold the F key, wait for the circle to show up, and click. We're going to buy some stuff. Now I'm going to use a starter ship. I'm going to use the MISC Reliant Core. Now this is a starter ship. You can buy it in a starter package. It will be the most expensive of the starter packages, but it's a multiplayer ship, so you could use it to play with friends. Now for this run, we're going to be going to Daymar, and I'm just going to buy a few medical supplies to bring with us. I'm not sure what the most lucrative cargo is to haul there, and I don't want to know at this point because we're just here for testing. So we're going to walk over to this terminal. Again, hold down the F key, left click, and then scroll through your ships. You may only have one. I have many because I'm a subscriber and also have been part of Star Citizen for quite some time. I'm just going to summon my ship. You're going to hear a voice tell you that it's being shipped to the following location, and in just a few moments, that location will be revealed to us. AO1. That location is going to be facing away from the trading center, through the left door, and to the left. If you move away from the terminal too quickly and don't know where your ship is, just look around. There'll be a dot with the name of your ship on it, pointing you in the right direction. Just follow the right doors to go through them to see which way it might be. So we're going to go through here. And I'm going to stop and just point in that general direction. That's where you can buy some armor, and that's where you can buy some weapons. Going into the airlock, we want to make sure we have our helmet and suit on, which is by default what you wake up in. You walk inside and you press the controls to evacuate the air or atmosphere from the airlock. The door will open, follow the signs to your ship. And we're just going to follow ourselves around. Now we're going to skip ahead for just a few moments because we have an issue. Star Citizen is a persistent universe, and as such, it remembers the state you leave your ship in. So be sure every time you exit your ship to make sure it is locked. I did not do that after my last session, so guess what happened? So whenever I walk out to one of my ships, I decide to do what I call a pre-flight. I just want to make sure I walk around it and that it has the armament and other ancillary items that I have asked the station to place on it. In this case, we haven't done any of that, but I'm still walking around it just to take a general look at it. Now, the Reliant Core is actually a ship that's made with alien technology, and as such, it does articulate when it takes off. Oh, what's going on inside my ship? Remember I said there was a problem? Somebody obviously thought that this was a free test flight, and as such, they have found themselves into my ship, and they are going to steal it. Now, this could be a problem if you have just spent all of the money that you've had inside of your account, like I just did, on buying cargo. And this is going to be a problem. Obviously, this is a new player to the game and didn't know that this was my ship. You can tell just by the way that they're flying. As we look behind us to see what ship they had, we can see what the issue was. They've purchased a freelancer, and they bought it secondhand. For some reason, they thought they were getting engines, and they thought they were getting bulkheads and ramps. What they bought was the frame. How many times do I have to tell you, if you're going to buy a ship, be sure to buy it from the only place you could buy one and not have those issues, over at robertspaceindustries.com. After 2 short minutes of EVA, I made my way over to the ship. I held down the F key, selected my ramp, told it to open, and got back inside my ship. Floating above Port Olisar is dangerous. You never know if you're going to be hit by a ship. But I've been here for a while, and I took the risk. After a few short moments, I had a conversation with the gentleman that stole my ship. In actuality, I was right the first time. He didn't steal my ship. It's a free fly weekend, and he thought it was there for him to fly for free. He makes his peace and exits out the back of the ship. But because he's been flying above Port Olisar for the last 5 minutes, the game sees him as an entity that needs to be despawned, and thus takes the ship, puts it back into the hangar along with the cargo I have, and that was of no loss. What could have happened was that he could have flown it out into a point in space and exited out the back, or just decided, I don't want to fly this ship anymore, and went back to the main screen. In the past, that meant the ship was staying spawned in, but in this case, we got despawned and placed back into this waiting area on the top floor of Port Olisar. Finding my way around Port Olisar and back to the summoning station for my ship, I selected the Core Reliant again, which is loaded with the medical supplies that I'd decided to take to Daymar. So we're going to walk in the back, and inside of this ship we're going to look over here to the right, and there's a little control panel. We're going to click on it to close the door. Entering the pilot seat, we're going to look up at the main control panel and turn the ship on. There's 2 ways to turn the ship on. You can turn on power first, then turn on the engines, or you can just go to flight ready status. Either way that works for you is the right way. I had those functions connected to a button on my HOTAS, so you are unable to see me do that in this case, but I'll be sure to show you how it is shut down the ship and turn it back on when we get to the Shuven mining facility on Daymar. So after putting away the landing gear, you can see how the ship articulates and moves into a flight ready mode. Now the exterior view is accessed by hitting the F4 key. I tap the F4 key and I can use either the mouse or a button on my joystick, or possibly a joystick on my controller, depending on how you set up your controls, to move the external camera around my ship. Tapping F2 brings up the star map. Clicking on a destination and selecting Set Destination is all we need to do to move to our target moon. The target moon in this case is going to be Daymar. We're now going to look for a little point in space that will be lit up for us. We're going to tap the B key on the keyboard or whatever button you've set up for it, and we're going to go into quantum jump. Now we're in quantum space. I think these jumps are the most impressive and beautiful part of the game, so I always like to do them from external views. It's just such a beautiful way of showing you move through space so quickly. These are not loading screens, they're actually moving through that space in real time at that speed. When you get to your destination moon, you're going to have a couple of points on the planet, to many points on the planet, and some points around the planet in space. Points around the planet in space are markers for you to jump to make moving around the planet or orbiting the planet a lot quicker. But there's no way that I've found to get to the surface any quicker than hitting the afterburners and just sitting and waiting for the ship to make it down to the surface. In some cases, it could take as long as 10 to 20 minutes to get to the surface. I don't find this as a problem, as I love the visuals in the game. And I take that opportunity to do schoolwork, work for work, or get up and get a cup of coffee. The long pauses I'm taking are so you can take a few moments to look at the beautiful graphics that are part of Star Citizen. Here we are just flying towards the Shubin facility. This is the part of the trip that I said was going to take quite a bit of time. So I'm going to use the power of video editing to make the time go by quicker. But I think it's important to see that pointing yourself in the direction using the afterburner, in this case we're going 1151 meters a second, and we're going to move ourselves in the direction of Shubin mining facility. You can pick Shubin or R-Corp or any one of the other installations on the planet. But at some point, on Daymar especially, you're going to have to start setting up your approach. On Daymar, the reason why I say Daymar especially, is that this moon has a very thin atmosphere. So there is a re-entry period that you will have to go through. Now, currently you don't have all of the turbulence associated with that, but what you do have is some amazing graphics. So the piece that you have to deal with is going back to an external view and sitting back and enjoying the view. After the fireworks are over, you're going to have to start thinking about where you're going to land. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a number of platforms or landing zones to choose from as you approach your destination. So in this case, instead of speeding up, we're just going to jump ahead to the landing. Jumping ahead about 4 minutes, we're now approaching the mining facility. The first thing that we want to do is open our comms panel and request landing. Now this is important because if you land without requesting, you're going to get crime status, something we will cover in a future video. But for now, we're teaching you the right way. Because of the precision needed to land, you should have already chosen to deploy your landing gear before getting this close. We have just hit something. Thank God it wasn't another ship. We hit a light pole. Looked like we got stuck there for a second, so just back off, turn around, make sure you look where you are, and remember your ship is bigger than your view. Okay, as we point ourselves down, we still have landing clearance. We're just going to turn the ship around, and I'm going to face the front. You can actually do this any way you want. There is no right or wrong way. But we're going to use our maneuvering jets. Remember how I told you we had 6 degrees of freedom? In this case, we're going to use our vertical jets. We're just going to tap them to land, and of course, smash our ship into the ground. Turn off the power. Now you could just turn off the engines if you want to. I like to turn off all the power. And in this case, we're going to go back towards the rear of the ship, and inside of the core, the Reliant core, we're going to look to the right, choose to open the door, and now you need to wait, because if you do this, you will clip through the top and cause the door not to open. But thankfully, MISC has installed a stopping mechanism that will stop the ramp and keep it from crushing you. After exiting your ship, you'll have a great view of the facility. The facility is going to have many buildings at it. There'll be a habitat, a mining control center, there'll be a landing services, and there'll be a storage building. The way to find the storage building is to look for the one that has the most cargo containers outside of it. The long, thin one that's not that big is going to be landing services. The one with the mining equipment outside of it is going to be mining control. And then the one that just looks kind of indiscriminate will be the habitat. This one, of course, is the storage module. The storage module isn't where I thought I'd be doing my trading. I thought it would be called the trading module or the general store. But in this case, it's storage. The first time I came in here, I expected to see things stored, and that's exactly what you see. There will be a terminal here, just like the one on Port Olisar. We're going to choose to sell our medical equipment. We're going to make a tiny profit here. And we're just going to choose to sell. Now, like I said, I'm not going to tell you what's the best thing to sell, what's the best thing to buy, because that will change over time as more stations are added, more planets are added, more moons are added, and truck stops are added. But for this one, I might as well just take quartz. When the game goes live, there'll be many tools available to you on your PDA, which in this case is called the Mobiglass. It will sit on your left arm. Now on that PDA will be tools that will show you your historical trades. It will show you historical prices at the different stations that you fly to. And that's just something that's not implemented in the game yet. Something I didn't show you is there was another delivery agent or cargo agent that was to the right as we were walking back towards the airlock. But for this one, we don't want to interact with anyone. We just want to do a short cargo run. You can see on the left side of the center part of the screen is a chat box. Chat box is a way for you communicating with people if you're not using one of the freely available voice communication services like Discord or Ventrilo or TeamSpeak, etc., Skype, whichever one you're using. Now the chat box can be used in-game for people that you don't know in reality. And you get to it by selecting the F12 key. Let's skip ahead a little bit. This is the control panel on this ship, the Reliant Core. Up top, I'm making sure that I'm playing with the open and close exterior just to reinforce that you need to make sure that your ship is locked. There are other controls up here. The other controls are going to be engines on, power on, or flight ready, engines off, power off. Currently in the alpha of the game, departure does not require any clearance. But be careful about assuming that's the way it's going to be. In the future, you might just find yourself with crime status if you don't request departure. Now I'm just taking off to give you a couple of the visuals again. I think this game is one of the most beautiful games on the market today. And that gas giant is Crusader, which is the planetary system that we're flying in. Crusader is a lot like the Jovian system, which is Jupiter. And Jupiter has many moons. Here on Crusader, there are 4 main moons. There is Selene, Yela, Daymar, and Delamar. And I'm not sure if that's where they're going to stop. But in the next couple of months to next 7 or 8 months, they'll be adding an additional 1 to 2 planets to the game. Hurston and Arcorp. And those will have their own moons, their own stations, and allow us to spread our wings a little bit and fly a little bit further in the Star Citizen universe. Getting back to Port Olisar is a lot quicker than getting to Daymar, Selene, Delamar, or Yela. And the main reason for that is we don't need to fly into planetary orbit, circle a planet, and then punch through an atmosphere to land on the surface. Olisar is floating around or orbiting around that giant ball of many gases. Alright, so we need to bring up our star map. And our star map is something that we're going to bring up when we get to a certain altitude. The altitude that we're looking for is different for each one of the planets because each one of the planets and moons in the game is going to have a different gravity well, or a different altitude where gravity is no longer a factor. In other words, you have escaped the gravitational pull of that body. In this situation, it's going to be about 24 to 34,000 meters. We bring up F2 again. We search through our little area over here, find Port Olisar. It's tough because the map doesn't really show a picture of it at this point. You click on it, set destination. Tap the F2 button again, and we're going to have a little bit of lag today because there are many people playing the game that have never played it before. So our Mobiglass is going to have a little bit of a conniption for just a few moments. If things like this happen, understand it's an alpha. This is not the way the game is going to work in the future. Playing in the alpha just gets you here first. And now that we're ready to go home, point your nose towards the Port Olisar marker, tap the B key, and go into quantum jump. Now, I've told you that you could always view this from the outside. In this case, we just want to get home as quickly as possible. I'm not going to oogle at the graphics. We're just going to get to Port Olisar quickly as possible. Now, Port Olisar is a booming community of people that are jumping into the game. A lot of people talking to each other, some people not, people doing antics, crashing into each other, or people just trying to get a group together to go off to a planet and have a race with their buggies. All things that we'll talk about in the future. There's a lot more to this game than what I showed you today. Today's flights were orientation flights. There are many types of missions in this game. Service beacons that players can initiate where you can help them deliver cargo, bounty hunt, or just go and save their butt from pirates that have pulled them out of hyperspace. There are investigation missions, and in the near future we'll have mining, refueling, and salvage missions. So all those are coming to the game rather rapidly. I've decided to not do a video like this in the past because, well, there wasn't a lot here. And although there isn't a lot of the game currently present, there's enough of the game present for you to have a little bit of fun. It just takes some imagination and a bunch of friends. Alright, so as we're getting closer and closer to Port Olisar, I'm going to get ready and put my ship into landing mode. And there we go. Now we have to request permission to land. I'm going to point my nose at the landing pad that I want to land on. You don't always get the pad you want. Sometimes you get a different one. So we don't have our communications on the front screens. We have them on the top screens. We select our request permission to land. And I'm telling you, we're going to land right off the nose of where we were pointing. As you're coming back into Port Olisar, you can land a different way. You don't need to use your maneuvering jets or be precise yourself. What you do need to do is get the ship down on the deck. And the most efficient way to do that is to activate the automatic landing system. The ALS can be accessed by hitting the N key and holding it, or by using the button that you've assigned to your joystick, HOTAS, or gamepad. As soon as the ship touches the ground, you could turn your engines off or turn your power off. That will be your choice. Again here, to protect your ship from theft, as you exit, be sure to close the ramp. One of the most frustrating moments I've had in the game so far was taking a fully laden Cutlass back home from a run to the Shubin mining facility on Yella. Upon landing, two people were waiting outside of my ship and jumped in as soon as the ramp opened, and took my ship and flew it off. Stupidly, I had managed to use every dime I had to fill that ship. So I went from having about 10,000 credits to having just over 70. And that is something that currently is not protected by insurance in the game. What I love about this game is that there are moments like that. Oops, we tried to get out of the ship before the ramp opened. Remember, this is something that needs to fully extend before you could exit. I really do get a little bit anxious to leave and close my ramps these days because I have had 6 or 8 ships taken from me. As you saw at the beginning of this episode, I've had 6 or 8 ships taken from me in the last 2 weeks. Most of them I didn't care about. The only ones I care about are ones that are fully laden. If I spawn a ship and somebody flies off with it, the way I look at it is, they're probably doing it because they don't own that ship and want to see how the ship flies. In those situations, I think that's a wonderful thing, and I suck it up, I go back inside, spawn a different ship, and let them have their joyride. Because who knows, maybe that's the ship they're going to fall in love with, and that's the ship that's going to make them love the game enough to stick around. Coming back to the terminal over here, all we're going to do is choose Sell, move over to our core, select the cargo, move the slider to the right, and sell it. Now, we did not make a huge profit today, but we did make a profit. We made about 6, maybe 800 credits. Not enough to jump up and down about, but if you do a couple of those runs in a day, you'll probably make enough credits to start thinking about either outfitting your ship or yourself. On Port Olisar, there's 4 vendors. This one is Kasaba. Kasaba lets you buy clothing. Currently, I'm not into buying clothing because the female models aren't in the game because, well, the female models aren't in the game. I think it's that CIG has this perfectionist attitude. Unless anything is perfect, which obviously the game isn't right now, it can't go in. But we do find a few female vendors, and I'll show you one in a few moments. In this location, you can buy spacesuits or armor. And it's not that expensive. I remember when these things were very expensive. Now, the higher end armors are going to be very expensive, but currently in the alpha, the prices are set so you can buy things, try them out, and see how you like them. But being the girl I am, I want something shiny, so I'm going to get this nice gold spacesuit. Now, when you go to buy something, it all happens on your Mobi Glass. Augmented reality is something that we are going to be moving full steam ahead with in our own realities today. You know, I left going, I thought I bought that, but maybe I didn't. So I'm going to bring up my Mobi Glass again and go into my equipment manager and start looking around. I'm going to find my armor and I'm going to put it on my body and show off that flashy new gold and black spacesuit. Let's run across the hall over here, or I guess this would be more like a promenade, or would it be more like an atrium? Let's call it an atrium. We're going to run across the atrium after taking a look at our sexy new armor over here. Yeah, this would work in a firefight. They would see me from a mile away with the sun glaring off my gold parts. Nonetheless, this is where you actually purchase your weapons, but get to see a female model. Yes, Star Citizen isn't all a sausage fest. There are at least 3, maybe 4 women in the game. Over here, let's buy some ordnance. I think we need these. Yeah, frag grenades will do, because you never know when you're going to throw a grenade in space. And we know grenades work in space. Now, this is just a few of the weapons that are going to be in the game. I obviously have bought one because you spawn into the game with a pistol and only a pistol. Make a few thousand credits, start thinking about what weapons to purchase. And I think we're almost done with our orientation flight. I'm going to spawn a different ship, fly off to a beautiful place, and talk to you from there. And this brings us to the conclusion of our orientation into Star Citizen. Star Citizen offers people a lot. Currently in Alpha, there are some fun things to do. I've just brought my Terrapin to Yella. And what I'm doing now is just admiring the beautiful rings that float ever so gently above the surface of the planet. You can do almost anything in the game when the game is released. Today it's going to take some imagination, some humility, a lot of patience, but you will find those moments that you just absolutely love the game. You're also going to find moments that you're frustrated to all end and throw your controllers at the wall. But that's what an alpha is. And if you have the intestinal fortitude to go through the joy, through the pain, through the disappointment, through the excitement and the glee of a brand new release that lets you be able to fly that ship you've been waiting for so long, then join the game and join us, those of us that are Star Citizens. My name is Nicole D'Angelo, and I am a Star Citizen. And with that said, everyone, be sure to click the thumbs up button down below if you like this video. If you want me to continue this series and get deep into each little thing about what you could do in Star Citizen, please comment below. And remember, I have a Patreon over at patreon.com/Batgirl. Thanks for your continued viewership. And with that said, I'm going to get some sleep. And you all be safe out there.